My name is once more again Frank Uchechukwu. I will be teaching you public procurement method. In our previous class, I discussed about public procurement procedure, and then I thought that in this class I'll be discussing technical evaluation method, but somehow I thought it wise that I should discuss public procurement and the types of public procurement before I will go into evaluation, threshold, and other activities that is in procurement. Now, let's get the knowledge of public procurement. And ordinarily, we do procurement, everybody. We go to market and buy things. That is procurement. In a nutshell, procurement simply means to acquire an item, to buy goods, to buy works, to buy service. As long as there is exchange, there is transaction. Let me use the word transaction. As long as there is transaction, exchange of money for item, for one's satisfaction, then there is procurement. You have acquired something, that is procurement. But then when it comes to public procurement, there are activities that place in there. Activities such as the fact that what you are buying is not for your personal interest. What you are buying for public interest. And then public fund is there, accountability is there, transparency is there, and value for money, among all other things, is also there. That makes it public procurement. Now, let me give a little more concise explanation of public procurement. Public procurement simply means the entire process involved in the acquisition of either goods, works, services by an MDA from a contractor. And this acquisition is done at the best possible cost of ownership. That is one. Cost. Best possible cost of ownership of that item you want to buy. The next one is acquiring it at the right quality, right quantity. Then the next one is obtaining that item at the right time and right resources. Right source. Obtaining that item at the right source. And finally, but not the least, ensuring value for money for that procurement. Now, the essence of this public procurement practice is to ensure global best practices in procurement and reducing fraud and collusion. Now, having gotten the idea of what public procurement is all about, we will now go to the types of public procurement. Now, generally, there are about 7 or more types of public procurement, but we'll take it one after the other for your easy understanding. Now, the first one is open competitive method. Under open competitive method, we have international competitive bidding, we have national competitive bidding, and even some countries or some states do practice state competitive bidding. Now, what is open competitive bidding? It simply means a public procurement that allows competition, that allows the public to express their interest for that procurement. It gives everybody equal opportunity to come and bid. So it could be international, it could be local, or it could be states. National or states. So under international competitive bidding, international firms, contractors, suppliers are also allowed to come and bid in that country. And if it is national, it is the contractors within that country that are allowed to tender in that procurement. And if it is states, it is the contractors residing in that state that are allowed to tender in that procurement. So that is it. Now, this next one is selective tendering method. Under this method, there is restriction. It is not for every contractor. It is for selected contractor or pre-selected contractors. So in this case, there are factors that could warrant this selective tendering. The factors could be that maybe the procuring entity do not have enough time where there is urgent or emergency need of a procurement. In this case, the procuring entity may not have enough time to start inviting many people to come and tender. They may not have that time to evaluate those many bids that will come in, or that there is emergency, there is urgency, or that the procurement, the value of the procurement is not much that will warrant them to spend much money, in open competitive bidding. So they will decide to do selective bidding by inviting or interfacing with few contractors, then ask them to bring their tenders for evaluation. So this is the condition that warrants selective tendering. In this case, there is restriction. It is not for everybody. It is for the pre-selected contractors that will be required to bring in their tender. Now, the next one is two-stage tendering method. Now, under this two tendering method, what happens here is the procuring entity may not initially have any knowledge, any defined knowledge about that procurement. So for them to get enough or adequate knowledge and information about that procurement, they first invite interested contractors, suppliers, or service providers to furnish them with first tender without price. They will bring their technical processes, methodology. They will submit it, and then the procuring entity will evaluate, will look into those technical criteria, their first submissions. Then from there, they will now get some idea, knowledge about that procurement. Now, after this qualification the PE may have done, they will now from there select the contractors that explained that procurement very well for them. Then they will now ask those the contractors, of course, not one contractor, maybe out of the 10 contractors that the PE may ask to tender their technical tender, maybe 5, 6, 7, or 8 of them might pass. Now, those that pass that pre-qualification will be asked or requested to tender their price quotation. So that makes it that two-stage procurement method, where you request for the contractor to submit first quotation to explain the technical knowledge about that procurement, and then later they will ask the PEO ask the contractor to submit price tender. That's tender with price now. That's this time around the contractor will submit both the technical and financial bid together. Now, the next one is direct procurement. Now, under direct procurement, it's a kind of procurement that involves just one contractor. Just one contractor is required to tender. It is not open and it is restricted, of course, but restricted to only one contractor. That's why it is direct. And there are factors that warrant direct procurement, that warrant a procuring entity to require only one contractor to bid for a procurement. The conditions might be one, either that the contractor has a patent right for that procurement, or that the contractor has been the one in the previous time that did the work in the previous time, and then there is a need for continuity, or that the PE may have interfaced with the contractor and find out that he's best in terms of technical and price for that contract, and then they wouldn't want to bother themselves inviting too many people. They would just invite just that contractor and continue and give the contractor that contract. So these are basically the factor or criteria that will warrant a direct procurement, whereby a PA invites just one contractor to tender for a procurement. Now, the next one is direct labor. You see, these two methods confuse a lot of people, a lot of contractors. When you say direct labor, it simply means a procurement whereby the procuring entity uses its own personnel and equipment. It is the PE now that is doing this procurement using its own workforce. For example, if Ministry of Works want to do some, maybe if Imo State government want to do some works within Imo State, and then the Ministry of Work is there, and then this work is within the threshold of the ministry to handle. The Ministry of Works can handle the work. All they need to do is because they have engineers. You understand? And probably they may have the capacity. So all they need to do is to go into the field, use their labor, use their equipment, and do the work. Do you understand? So in this case, the procuring entity uses its own staff, equipment, resources to do the work. So that is the difference. The other one being direct procurement, you invite just a contractor. But under direct labor, the PE do it by itself, using its workforce and resources. Now, we'll now talk about national shopping. You see, national shopping is just a shopping, it's just a procurement that is done through just a small supply, small procurement, just off the shelf procurement. Procurement, like for example, you know, supplying stationaries that worth like 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, maybe 10 million. That doesn't cost much. It's something that's a man, a legitimate shop owner, you understand, can just tender and then supply to a ministry or to an organization. It doesn't cost much. You just did just small supply, small procurement. Maybe a ministry or an organization needs to make some repairs on its building. You just invite an electrician, and then he just invite 2 or 3 or 4 electricians to give quotation to repair whatever electrical faults you have observed there. You see, so national shopping simply means just small procurement, off-the-shelf procurement within just small amount, which the PE or accounting officer can just handle. So in this case, the PE may just invite 3 or 4 or 5 suppliers or service providers or contractors to tender their quotation for such a procurement. And then the last one is emergency procurement. So emergency procurement is just, a procurement under emergency. In this case, the PE will first get the procurement, go for the procurement, buy those things, do the work, get the services. Then after completing the services and stopping that emergency or that urgency, over time, the PE can then come to BPP to get certificate of no objection that will cover him, or that will warrant him, or that will justify him for such emergency procurement that it has done. So under emergency procurement, you don't need a certificate of no objection to commence it. You just do it first. You satisfy that want, that need first. Do you understand? Before you now come to do what they call regularization, you now come to BPP, apply, and then tell BPP, Bureau of Public Procurement, that you did such an emergency procurement. These are the reasons. The reasons could be maybe if it is a national, if it's for the interest of national security. In that case, you don't need to bring it out. You can just do the emergency procurement. Though under state security, you can as well use direct procurement. You understand? You can use direct procurement for national, if the procurement is for the interest of national security. You just invite one contractor. Now, the same thing happens under emergency. So under emergency, if the reason is for national security, just go ahead and get those security done. Get those procurement done, and then later come for regularization. Get the necessary certificate of no objection from Bureau of Public Procurement. Then maybe if the procurement is also urgent, you can as well get it. Then after satisfying it, you then come for certificate of no objection from BPP. So I don't know, but I believe that this class may have, given you an eye-opener towards what procurement is and what public procurement is. So in my next class, I will teach technical evaluation. Thank you. I hope this class have impacted you. Just please subscribe and give me a thumb up. Thank you.